Hello, and welcome to another Cosmonarchy Casual Ladder Castover. Today, we're watching a series of games between Btyb and neblime. In other exciting news, the Quarter 4 ladders have launched for Cosmonarchy as advertised in the latest prototype, Episode 26. I will be hosting and maintaining the ladders as the season runs through December 31st, at which point we will launch a new quarter of games. Thanks to the generosity of neblime, we will see the casual ladder have a prize pool for the quarter. Neblime put forth the idea, and I offered to match 6 cents per match, for a total of 12 cents per match played during this quarter. And that's on top of any contributions made by the community. Really great stuff. With that being said, it's on you, the players, to really drive up that prize pool by submitting lots of matches for the casual ladder. But there is a prize pool for the ranked ladder as well. But I'll leave it on you to check that out using the links in the description below. Now, let's get on to this series of games. This first match between Btyb and neblime is going to be on Jungle Jammed. And I want to say, I think this was a map made by Btyb. I could be wrong. We will find out. Looks like we have Btyb here as Fern Green Protoss. And then neblime as Ultramarine. Now, this is very interesting. I've seen neblime play a lot of games as strictly Zerg. So it's cool to see that he's expanding his horizons, trying something new. Meanwhile, Btyb sticks to his gut. He knows the classic play. I'll bet you $1 right now he's probably going to build a gateway. But that's alright, we like gateways. Taking a look at these mains... There's a tiny bridge, the secret path. How silly. He does have a... His base is very open. Like, this is a huge choke over here. But then how accessible is this area? There's a wide ramp. So I would be concerned with holding down this area. But then you also... Well, you're building a base here, so you can use that to hold this choke, which isn't as bad. It's fairly linear paths. You come in this way, or you come in this way. We see a little bit of gas harvesting from neblime. He just now realizes there's 2 entrances. And what did I tell you? Btyb built a gateway and is making a Dracodon. Good old Btyb. Neblime realizes this himself as his Mason sees an active gateway and quickly backs the fuck out. And look at this distant fulcrum. Very curious. I wonder if maybe he saw him scouting down this way. He's gonna need to repair that Goliath if he wants to repel this. It's only just now queuing another Goliath. Doesn't have a lot of money. He is up 1 worker. This Dracodon decides to recharge its shields. This is a funny way to keep someone distracted for a bit. You bring your Dracodon in. Yep, Dracodon takes a little bit of damage and pops its shields. Meanwhile, the pylon recharges. It just takes forever to kill it. Another gateway going down for Btyb. We are still seeing just 2 workers on gas. But he is floating a fair amount of gas. Dragons do take a while to come out. That mason sacrificed itself, but it was not in vain. Btyb retreats to lick his wounds. Meanwhile, neblime is building up a hefty force of Goliaths. It's very good for neblime. Now has 2 fulcrums running on full blast. He's got no money. He's got a little bit of gas, and they've still got even workers. See, meanwhile, Btyb is committing hard to the Dracodons, but he's getting a prostration stage. Very curious what we'll see coming out of there. A wayward Mason charges forward, trying to gather information. He's already taken some blows that he'll surely be executed, but he decides to tickle the pylon and then gets ignored by the Dracodons. Is this the ultimate scouting plot? Or is there some kind of cheese at work here? Interesting targeting choice by neblime here. Does a considerable amount of shield damage to that gateway, and then lets it recharge. Meanwhile, this Dracodon is stuck. We are going to see... I believe that's a demiurge. Sometimes I get it confused with the pariah. And GG is called. Btyb just could not handle the pressure of the Goliaths. He didn't really get much to support his Dracodons. You know, if he had just gotten maybe 1 or 2 Legionnaires and 2 or 3 Zealots to have a front line that could really stick to those Goliaths and slow them down, and then, you know, he started off with 2 or 3 Dracodons and built them up over time, and carefully took his engagements, I think he would have fared a lot better there. There's also... Well, no, actually, I think that about sums it up. So anyway, we see this as, in this series, a first win for neblime. Now we progress to the second game, which is on Oxytocin. We have Btyb here as the Sunglow Protoss, and neblime again playing Terran, and he's the I believe that's pronounced Beastre Brown. I probably butchered it, but whatever. It's brown, guys. Now, I really like Iceworld maps, and I especially like the terrain editions on the Iceworld maps. The compound blending with shallow water that can be built on, it just looks really nice. I think it matches the thematic well. I'm curious if they use any of the other modded water cliff tiles in this map, but that may not be the case. That looks like... Yeah, I believe that's it right there. We're going to see an early stockade out of neblime. He is sending his Mason to the far corner of the map, and it looks like Btyb is unconsciously matching his call. They will both scout the wrong base, getting no information on one another. Btyb once again, he buckles down and he goes for the gateway. He says Dracodons will win, one way or another. Meanwhile, perhaps neblime will opt for some Cyprian play. The workers converge. The fated meeting. They did not seem to notice one another. That's really funny that they scouted the exact same path and realized twice that no one was there. We are going to see a Stargate out of Btyb. This is a bold move. He's only got... Wait, oh, he has 3 workers on gas. That's one more than last game. No gas harvesters for neblime and 1 stockade. And dare I say it, a fast expansion. And 4, not 3, but 4 Mavericks. And make that 5. A scribe dodges the guard patrol and makes its way over to begin tickling the ministry. It goes to run away, but then says, no, I accept my fate. And what's it going to be? A Zealot and a Dracodon from Btyb. What's his... He's opting for a Panoptus. He wants to hit hard. He wants to have decent hull strength. He wants to have decent armor. And he wants to do it at the luxury of flying in the air. Meanwhile, a squad of Mavericks dispatches Btyb's ground force. The Dracodon is forced to retreat, but it does meet up with the Panoptus, which quickly executes the remaining Mavericks. You see a Goliath on the way, and will he do it? Yes, the second fulcrum is shut down before it can be finished. The Dracodon leads a parade of masons around his neblime's base. It narrowly escapes, within an inch of its life, nearly tickled to death by masons. Will they pick it apart? He's got 4 HP. Oh, and the Dracodon finally falls. A war hero. 5 kills on that first Panoptus. They're definitely wreaking havoc in neblime's base. If he can't get this under control, this is going to be a call for GG. Just 2 Panoptus is not enough to out-DPS the repairing masons. But neblime has had enough of trying to micro his way to victory and calls GG. I think Btyb just got the... he caught neblime with his pants down. Neblime he didn't get any anchors, he didn't have any Cyprians, he just had a handful of Mavericks, which isn't bad, but he also didn't... I can't recall, I don't think he scouted the Stargate, so... Yeah, that's that match, so we see a defeat for neblime. Now we proceed to the last game. Good luck, have fun. We see Midnight Green for Btyb once again Protoss, the third time in the row, as was foretold. And in the top right, we have neblime as Yellow Terran, one of the classic colors. The 8th color, in fact. Not seeing any early gas harvesting out of either player. I imagine Btyb is going to save up 150 for his gateway, and then he'll pull a worker in order to save for a Dracodon. We do see neblime going for the stockade again, so he probably has an idea of how to refine his play from the previous game and wants to test it out. Workers meet on the ramp, as neblime is a little bit late to the scouting game. The scribe doesn't see anything fishy going on behind neblime's mineral line. It also doesn't see any workers mining gas, so that means Btyb can rest easy about any kind of air raid. Oh. And he leaves him a gift to top it all off. Look at that pathing. Just horrible. An absolute Chad, if you ask me. Meanwhile, second gateway goes up, and a Mason explores the base. But will he build a stockade and begin pumping out Hawkmeds in the corner of the map? That is the question. Unfortunately, oh, well, it's a little bit far, but I'll take it. neblime is attempting a wall at home. But what does Btyb have up his sleeve? We see, I'm going to say Zealots. Yep, Zealots coming out of the gateways, and they're being waypointed to neblime's ramp. We do have a Zealot poking around, making himself known, taking pot shots from the Cyprian. Will his recon mission be successful? His friend dives in, distracting for him. Only for both of them to die horribly. That Mason now has a kill. Btyb contemplates the loss of 200 minerals as he looks at the 200 in his bank. Continuing to pump out Zealots. He's getting another gateway. He says, "This is what I want to do." He says, "I don't care if you put Hurricanes in that anchor." Hey, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. And that's 3. 5 Zealots come marching in. They decide to skip out on the anchors. They say, "This is lame. It's way more relaxing over here in your mineral line, where I can start killing all the workers that you pulled." It's kind of like a biker gang from the 80s. They just roll up onto your shit, and everybody gets distracted because of the drama, and then they just go away. We have a Mason. He's a geologist. He's determining the composition of this rock. We do have another army of 5 Zealots ready to throw their bodies onto the anchors. They will defeat them by burying them in corpses. More of their brethren are soon to arrive. Meanwhile, we see 3 gateways all pumping out more Zealots, and a grand library supplying them with Atreus's for the back line. Warden goes up in the mineral line. Btyb is suspicious. It's been a while. He thinks maybe Neblime is getting transports or getting an army of wraiths and hiding in a corner somewhere waiting to strike his mineral line. Little does he know, Neblime does not care at all about his mineral line. Neblime really only wants to get more resources. He's got full saturation on his gas. He's got full saturation on his gas. And if he had a 3rd base, he'd probably have full saturation on that base too. And that would be 3. But it's not 3, and Btyb Zealots are running around in circles. They're not attacking. They won't do anything. They're part of the labor union and they're on a strike. They're saying, we're not going to destroy this base. You gotta pay me more Vespine gas. And somehow the Masons attacked the anchor to death instead of repairing it. What a legendary encounter. That Goliath is almost dead. Some ecclesiasts come to defend this mangled Atreus. Meanwhile, Btyb is only just now expanding. And he's down not quite half, but not too far off on workers. He is putting a bit of pressure on Neblime. You know, he's making Neblime want to play defensive. He's making Neblime want to defend his ramp. Just kind of hunker down and take the blows that come at him. And because of that, Neblime has been spending money on units when he could have taken this 3rd base a little bit sooner, I think. Meanwhile, we see Btyb just pouring as much money as he can into holding the front line. Realistically, if Neblime were to increase his production, like he's building a star pad, but I really think if Neblime had gotten, 2 or 3 more fulcrums here and threw down some scrapyards and started supplementing his army with some blackjacks, he could get some matadors to deal with the Amaranths and the Zealots. His Cyprians are just shredding the Ecclesiasts. This was a devastating loss for Btyb. Neblime should be moving out of his base right now to take the ground back and pressure Btyb. Look at this expansion. It's got 1 worker. It's just ripe for the taking. There's only 1 pylon powering all 3 of these gateways. All of that frontal force that Btyb was just harboring is just gone. Right before his eyes. See, we even have Masons marching in with the Cyprians, likely to build more anchors and act as support for the Goliaths. The unsuspecting expansion that has just had many workers drawn to it has no idea just how screwed it really is. The anchor settles in. The feet are going down. It's too late. They couldn't stop it. They get blocked. They get shredded by the crowd control. And the push has only just begun. Another anchor going up right behind them. Yeah, these Atreus need to be pulled back. That Atreus should have taken way less hull damage. He could have pulled it back and rotated them. He really needed to stay away from that anchor. Hey, that's not right. Do see an engram going down. It'll maybe. Well, if neblime does a slow push, it may finish in time, but I don't think it will be enough to riposte his attack. Yeah, that wasn't nearly enough to break that anchor, especially with the Anciel and the Masons nearby. Neblime does see the engram. It's almost done. And it's not going to be cancelled. That's not good for Btyb at all. More Zealots coming out of the gateways. He really, at the beginning of that battle, he should have come over here, and he should have expanded, and he should have been throwing down some static defense by his ramp. He's floating so many minerals. He's not. I mean, he does have a bunch of production here, but he doesn't have nearly enough to match. Surprisingly, one base worth of income. Technically 2 bases, but that was very short-lived. I think neblime said something, but I missed it. We do see neblime at tier 2. He has finally built more fulcrums. He took my advice. He said that was a good idea. He's got some watchdogs. He's got a 3rd base. He's got some idle masons all praying to this watchdog. You know, I'm kind of shocked to see him go on the defensive here. He didn't really try to explore Btyb's base all that much, and now Btyb is getting a lot of time to recover that was really not afforded to him at all. But, you know, neblime is convinced to take it slow and steady. He says, I don't know what my opponent has in their base. I only have a certain number of units, and I want to build them up more before I go all in. That, or maybe he wants to finish the game a certain way with some tier 2 tech. But with his, I think with his standing forces alone, he would be able to wrap up this match. Got a healthy number of amaranths with this army. Btyb's forces are starting to stack back up. There's a mason down here that could be scouting. This vulture is... Did it drop its mines? That's a lot of distance mining masons. A little premature on that Maynard. Ooh, we do see some wyverns out. That will be an excellent addition here, as they will be able to strafe over the melee army and, well, mercilessly mow them down. Meanwhile, Goliaths struggle to hold position. Many of them die simply because they were not being microed. And the Protoss army falls. I think, Btyb may be shocked here. You know, he's probably thinking, yeah, I have these amaranths, I got plenty of ecclesiast, you know, I got a pretty meaty front line. But neblime is not waiting for him to catch up. Neblime said, "Hey man, you started with access to Tier 3 from the beginning of the game, and now I'm going to use my Tier 2 to fuck you up." How will Btyb respond? Just as I suspected, the pylon is immediately sniped. All of the gateways go offline. Just see a bunch of scribes explode in a flash. All of Btyb's standing defenders are quickly eradicated as neblime's force pushes in through the ramp. And the engram does fall. That is GG from Btyb, and an overwhelming victory for neblime. Well, we got to see some good tech out of that match. I always like to see wyverns. It's always nice to see a big army of Goliaths that's just very Terran aesthetic. And I think this is a great start to the casual ladder season. I definitely appreciate the submission of these games. Hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will catch you for the next ones. Peace.